Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me without the microphone?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone mind if I don't use the microphone? Because I like to wave my arms around. If anyone was at my previous talk where I talked about intelligent enterprise, and I talked a lot about enterprise architecture and how important it is. What I'd like to talk to you now about is how important your enterprise architecture practice is in terms of driving innovation. Earlier we talked about how important innovation is as part of digital transformation. And a lot of people, a lot of organizations think that your enterprise architects are an unnecessary expense, don't need them. That they are good for drawing pictures on whiteboards and talking a lot of techno-babble that people don't really understand. I've been an enterprise architect for most of my career. I've been doing this for 25 years. I'd like to think that some of what I talk is common sense. So, according to Gartner, 40% of organizations will be using their enterprise architecture practice to actively promote innovation. This is a subtle change from what we've been doing before. You would get a consultancy in, they'd talk to you about all this high-powered stuff, then they'd disappear off and leave you to do it. Now what Gartner is saying, and what we're seeing in the industry, is that if you have an enterprise architecture practice, they become your in-house free consulting service. They are the ones that will socialize your innovation ideas. They are the ones who will talk to you about emerging technologies. But most importantly, these are the people who have taken the time to understand your organization at a business level, at a people level, and a technology level, diagram, document, model it. They can tell you what it will look like if you make a change. That's important. It's important because now you can walk into a change with your eyes wide open. You can be aware of the risks. You can be aware of the gaps before you even start your project. I've worked in some projects where the gap has been so big, they decided not to do the project. That's good, because it means you're not wasting time and money on something that's never going to work. Another study showed that actually 58% of sales teams and 61% of marketing teams have no idea what an enterprise architect is or does. Anyone from sales and marketing in the room? Okay, I'll come and see you later. Right. But on the positive side, a lot of CIOs and IT managers, and I'm sure there's a few of those in the room, 58 or 40% of those do see the enterprise architects as being critical to their ongoing strategy. 40% is still quite a small number. It should be larger than that. So, apologies for those of you who know about enterprise architecture. This is a quick 101 on the very high-level parts of enterprise architecture. So, there are a set of core disciplines, traditionally business architecture, application architecture, data architecture, and technology architecture. I've taken the liberty of adding two new ones, user or customer experience and integration. We've had a lot of people talking about user experience today, but the other huge gap in any organization's capability is integration. No organization just has one product. Quite often you've got products from 7, 8, 10, 20 different organizations. You need to know how to make them talk to each other. And as we move into a hybrid or a cloud environment, that integration becomes even more important because you cannot afford to suffer from data leakage or security breaches. So for me, integration coupled with the user experience are now vital components of any enterprise architecture. What I'm saying is that when you embark on an innovation or a piece of transformation, you must consider those as well as the four key disciplines. But then there are some additional services that your enterprise architects can provide for you. Advisory, governance, control is vitally important. Not just to make sure you don't do something you shouldn't do, but if you do something that you should do, to reward you, to reinforce that, and to make sure everybody knows that that's the correct thing to do. Consulting and assurance, consulting I've already mentioned to this. If you're free consultants, you pay for them. EAs are not cheap, but if you've got one or two, make use of them. Make use of them in every layer of your business, because they can go to your business owners and explain to them the benefits of the technology. business people and technology people are like different creatures, aliens. They don't speak the same language. Your EA is that bridge. He's the bridge between technology and the business. Make use of them. And then there's a set of deliverables that these guys need to turn out. Okay, you hear Aaron and everyone else talking about meta models. That's really just documenting your existing environment, but documenting it at a business level, at a data level, at an application level, and a technology model, so that when you put those together, when you change a piece, you can see immediately how it's going to work, or even better, if there's any gaps. Diagrams and views are just another way of talking about models. Catalogues of services, catalogues of product, catalogues of best practice. Strategic plans and visions, get them involved with your business owners and your C-level stakeholders to help map out your strategy. Remember, a business is a combination of business processes, people, and technology. And in the middle there, this is your sweet spot. If everything is pulling together and you're somewhere in that sweet spot, your business is operating effectively and efficiently. If one of these exerts a greater pull and comes out, you're going to start losing efficiency. You're going to start having either errors creeping in, or a lack of data, or anything else like that. So, as we said before, a little bit about the deliverables, business models, data models, basically models up to here. That's what your EA should be doing when they first start building their practice. So that anyone can go to your repository of models and say, this is how my business works. So how are they going to help innovate, particularly in Industry 4.0, or within the new industrial revolution? This is my digital enterprise architect. All right, let's go back in history first. Okay, over 2,000 years ago, the Romans innovated, and it was an engineer that innovated. Rome has a problem, surrounded by 7 hills, and there's no fresh water. So an engineer built something called an aqueduct. It's a brick stone structure, carries water. The Romans got so good at this that Rome alone had nearly 500 miles of aqueducts, and they could make water flow uphill. Remember, there was no electricity back then. No hydraulic pumps, no nothing. I think they were the first system integrators, the Romans, because the longest Roman aqueduct was not in Italy, in Rome. It's in what used to be called Constantinople, Istanbul, and it's over 600 kilometers long. So they exported this technology to the rest of the world. Bring it forward a little bit, the Panama Canal, which opened in 1914, it was done by hand. The French tried it first, then the Americans finished it off. What it does is it cuts 3 weeks off your journey. Instead of having to go all the way around South America, you can cut through the middle. The cost to the shipping companies is incredible. This was a massive transformation for the sea shipping industry. And believe it or not, it can raise up a vessel 26 meters above sea level. And I'm not talking about a little rowing boat or a dinghy. I'm talking about Panamax vessels, 200,000 tons. So these are examples of innovation driven by engineers, driven by enterprise architects, the kind of people who think about the whole of your organization. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things, fact or fiction. A lot of people think enterprise architects talk a load of, really said something rude, a load of nonsense, okay? They talk about things that are science fiction. You've seen it in Terminator, Rise of the Machines, you've seen it in Star Trek. I will put my hand up, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I'm old enough to remember when they first came out. So, everyone knows what this is, right? Star Trek communicator. Captain Kirk used to flick it over and shout, "Beam me up, Scotty." 1967 was the pilot episode of Star Trek. When did the first flip phone come out? Surprise for you. 1996. Lieutenant Uhura. She had this thing stuck in her ear. She could talk to anyone, anywhere, in any language. Cool stuff. The first Bluetooth headset came out in 2000. Now the one I'm waiting for is this. Transporter. 1967, Gene Roddenberry came up with the idea of the transporter. I'm still waiting. I'm working on it. I'll let you know how it turns out. Okay, if I disappear halfway through, well, there you go. Okay, all right. So let's put it into context with the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So, yes, Industrial Revolution 4.0. The first one was basically water-powered, steam-powered, probably 300 or 400 years ago. The second industrial revolution was where they started looking at mass production. Henry T. Ford was probably the first guy to do this when he started making Model T Ford in a production line. And General Motors and people like